It is winter and the weekends are lazy. And the perfect cure for the weekend blues is a slow braised Italian ossobuco to satisfy the soul. And that's what we're cooking today. And you are gonna love it. Let's cook. Ossobuco in Italian is bone with a hole, and the hole is the part of the bone that holds the bone marrow, and it's delicious. Ossobuco is the cross cut of the veal shank, which is actually the leg, and it is a specialty of Lombardia, which Milan is the capital of. The original version does not include tomato or sofrito, but the most modern versions outside of Milan actually do, so ours will include it. Also, traditionally in Milan, it is served with risotto alla milanese or polenta depending on the region. We are gonna use polenta today because it's just easier to make. Finally, ossobuco is used with veal shank, but that's very hard to find in the US, so we are using beef, or you can use pork if you like. They're all delicious. I cannot wait. First, we're gonna get organized. The French call this mise en place, and all mise en place is having all the tools and ingredients that you need right in front of you. Cooking is always about ingredients, time, and temperature. That is why it's so important to find the best ingredients possible. First, we're gonna prep all the ingredients and put them in what we call the conga line, which is nothing but the order they show up in the recipe. Mise en place is less stress. Let's prep. And now it's time for shoutouts. These are the people that are cooking our food, taking pictures and letting us know about it. I'm waiting for yours. Roy Maltese, the newcomer, in his attempt to hit 1,000, cooked the lentils, the salmon, and the pork. He sent me pictures. This guy's amazing. And Kathy, who is back and is competing with Roy now, made the onion soup and it looked fantastic. And my brother Hugo is getting in the game with the help of his son, my nephew, little Hugo. Man, yesterday they made this beautiful tomahawk steak with our recipe. It looked amazing. And this morning he sent me a picture of the French omelette. They both loved it. I think it looked delicious. Guys, seeing you cook inspires us to do more, so keep them coming. Now the conga line is ready. The first thing we're gonna do is brown the shanks with about, I want to say maybe 1 tablespoon or 1.5 of oil. I want to make sure that they brown nicely on both sides. Put them there, don't touch them, and set the heat to about medium high. You don't want to burn that flour. And the flour, what it's going to do is going to help you give it some color, but also will help with thickening the sauce. All right, it's browning nicely. Now, these things have a tendency to bend out of shape. That's why I put the string, but the string did not work properly. So my solution was to just cut this part of the fat that holds that together, and it's gonna work just the same. All right, so we're gonna put it here. We set it aside, and we're gonna add the sofrito. And the sofrito in French is mirepoix, and all it is the Holy Trinity in Italian, which is onion, celery, and carrots. You can do equal parts and it's fine. The originally mirepoix recipe calls for 2 parts onion and 1 part celery, 1 part carrot. We're gonna cook that until the onions become translucent. About 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Now we're gonna add the garlic. And the reason we add the garlic last is because you don't want it to burn. Because when garlic burns, it becomes bitter. We're gonna cook the garlic for about a minute, and then we're gonna add the tomato paste and cook it for about a minute. Now we're gonna deglaze the pan with the red wine. I'm gonna scrape all the goodness that sticks through the pan. Remember that when you use wine and to deglaze a pan, all the alcohol evaporates, so don't worry about it. Now that it's gonna dry again, we're gonna add the stock. And this is a combination of chicken stock and beef stock, because veal stock is hard to find. We're gonna add the tomatoes, the Bouquet garni, and we're gonna put back the shanks in that sauce. We're gonna bring this to a boil, cover it, and put it in the oven at 300 degrees for about 2.5, maybe 3 hours. You wanna make sure that this thing is falling off the bone. You may have to go longer if you have to. The longer you go, the better it's gonna be. Okay, this is boiling now. We're gonna add some salt, maybe a teaspoon or so. Pepper, about just as much. Cover, and then put it in the oven. Cooking the polenta. Ossobuco, it's almost ready. Here we're adding the liquid. The liquid could be just water or chicken stock, or in this case, I used a combination because I had some chicken stock left. So we're gonna warm this up, actually bring it to a boil. We're gonna put about half of this butter now, and the other half after it's done. Also add half a teaspoon of salt. And we're gonna taste it to make sure it's properly seasoned. And what we're gonna do when this water boils, it's add the cornmeal in a very slow stream, and then we're gonna be like whisking it all the time, right? Because we wanna do is avoid lumps. So we're gonna cook it like that for the first 5 minutes, and then we're gonna cover it and just let it cook at a very slow, very low temperature, right? It's gonna be covered, and every 5 minutes or so, we're gonna turn things around, cover it again. Okay, this is boiling now. I tasted the water. It needs another 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And now we are gonna start adding the cornmeal in a very small stream. Constantly whisk. And the reason you're doing this, like I said before, is to avoid lumps. So we're gonna do this for about 5 minutes or so. You wanna be just whisking regularly, and then we're gonna lower the heat. Now this is gonna start to thicken a little bit, and after a while, actually, it's gonna get too thick for the whisk. And that's why we have this wooden spatula here. Lower the heat a little bit, about medium. See, it's starting to thicken already. Don't see any big lumps. We're gonna lower the heat to a minimum. Just cover it. And that's gonna cook for half an hour. And every 5 minutes or so, we're gonna come and check it and just stir it. And then cover it again, let it cook. We'll see when it's ready. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. Look at the consistency. It's creamy, but it's also grainy, because that's one of the things of polenta, that it's a thick grain. We're gonna add the rest of the butter, allow it to melt in there. And we're gonna add Parmesan cheese. Mix it all up. I did taste it and it's good for salt. Now what you're gonna do is cover it and let it rest for 5 minutes. And meanwhile, this is the meat, and it's been resting there for a while, and we're gonna put it all together in 5 minutes for the taste test. See you in a little bit. Finally, my favorite moment, taste test. Oh my God, can you look at this? It's just a thing of beauty. I want to tell you that I think this is worth the wait, but we're gonna find out. Ooh, so soft. Oh my goodness, this is like fall off the bone. I don't think you need a knife here. It's still pretty hot. All right, let's go. I thought it was gonna be a lot of tomato, but you can feel the acidity of the tomato, but it's not overpowering. And it's so soft. And let's try the polenta. Oh, perfect with its creamy taste, just amazing. And I added, this is called Gremolata, and this is a mix of parsley and lemon rind and a little bit of garlic. It just gives an accent. It cuts through the acidity of the tomato. I think it's just amazing. The Italians know what they're doing. We got another one here. This is so good. And here we have a place where inside the bone, remember the buco is that hole in the bone, and there's a little bit of meaty gold in there called the marrow. Now it's pretty hot, but I'm going for it. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is it. Oh, it is delicious. Now we have Cabernet Sauvignon. We need something to stand up to this tomato-based sauce and the acidity of it. And so I'm gonna try it with the wine. It's good. I'm gonna have to call Joanna right now because she needs to try this. Come on, Joanna.
Okay, here we go again.
Here, you have your own fork. I got this part for you. And that is meat. That's the polenta.
Meat.
I'm gonna put this right in.
Very nice.
It is very nice.
I feel the lemon from that.
You feel the lemon, right? It gives it a little bit of brightness.
Very good. Love the polenta.
The polenta, it's amazing.
It works really well with it. It doesn't have a lot of flavor on its own, but with this, I think it's perfect.
It's like a blanket, like supporting cast, right?
The Oscar goes to ossobuco and polenta. I think both.
It's really good. And I don't know if you noticed, but the flavors are bold, but subtle.
Yeah, it works.
Don't you feel that?
Everything works. The ossobuco doesn't feel heavy.
It doesn't feel heavy at all.
At all, yeah. And it's got some fat, for the fat lovers.
That's flavor.
Fat is flavor.
Fat is flavor. And also the fat helps with the sauce.
Very good.
Delicious.
Loved it. I'll take another bite. Another dish well done.
This is a weekend dish, guys. I know you're not so much into Cabernet Sauvignon, but I think you might like it with this.
I'll let you know.
This is a weekend dish. Like I said at the beginning, it's a lazy weekend dish. You can put this thing in there and just let it simmer in its own juices, in its just lovingly. Actually here it was 2.5 hours, so it wasn't that long, but you could do 3 hours and maybe you can do more, depends on how thick they are. But all I can tell you, it is worth the wait.
It's amazing.
It is so good.
Great
and
flavors.
the polenta, it's like a
It's
marriage
perfect.
marriage made in heaven,
I loved
right?
it. Yep, I didn't think it was gonna be that great with it, and I think it's perfect.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, guys, I promise you, this is something you wanna put on your list, okay? Put it on your list, all right? Now, 4 things. Subscribe, hit like, share with your friends, and
Cook it.
cook it. You need to cook this
Yes.
one. I'm telling you,
loved it.
this is
This
now,
is a repeat
It's a
dish,
repeat.
yeah?
Yeah, this is not something that you normally think of in your repertoire, right? Unless maybe you're Italian, you're from Milan, you're used to this.
Or you go to a restaurant.
Or you go to a restaurant. This is something that's worth adding to your repertoire. And you can cook it for just the 2 of you, or for the whole family.
For the whole
And maybe for a dinner party for 4 or 6.
Yeah.
It's something that is just great and you want to impress them, right? All right, now, so from Italy, we're going to Mexico. And because I love brunch so much, we are gonna do a Mexican brunch item. Huevos rancheros with refried beans.
Wow.
What?
Amazing.
That's gonna be delicious. Come back and see us.